Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. So they have identified the shooter of the shooting at Annapolis, Maryland, at the Gazette. The Capital Gazette Newsroom newspaper. So where 5 people were killed, 2 people were injured. To the best of my knowledge, the 2 people that were injured were very superficial injuries. They were just cut with some glass from the broken windows that when he shot through the glass into the office, killing the 4 people. So his name is Jarrod Ramos, and that's his photo right there. That's the only photo I see of him out there right now. This is heavy.com. A lot of times they're the first to kind of put things together for you. And he does have a Twitter page as well, which everyone is pointing to it. And this is it right here. Although, I mean, that's not him. That's somebody else. That person looks familiar. I don't know who these people are exactly, but that could just be my imagination. And I don't even know if these might even be people he had beefs with. I really don't know. But I think he set up this Twitter account to basically sort of document his ongoing feud with the Capital Gazette over this defamation lawsuit that began back in 2012. And the specifics aren't a lot of them are missing, but apparently there was a defamation lawsuit that he lost against the Capital Gazette because they wrote a story about him where he had a guilty plea against a harassment crime. It doesn't tell you what the harassment crime was and who he was harassing or anything like that. It just says, officials told NBC News, this is the New York Post, officials told NBC News that Ramos once filed a defamation lawsuit against the Gazette in 2012 for a column it published in 2011 about a guilty plea he entered in a criminal harassment case. The claim was dismissed, however, on account of Ramos not having any evidence. So the judge tossed the case in 2012. He represented himself, I think, or at least he did in the appeal, which he appealed in 2015, and the Gazette wrote an article about that, about the 2015 appeal, which got denied, or he lost, you know. So, and here's the lawsuit that's on this Twitter page here. This link takes you right to it. There's various posts on here. There's one actually from 7 hours ago. If this is in fact is his Twitter account, that would put it like minutes before the shooting. And that was his last tweet, and he hadn't tweeted since January of 2016 prior to that, and people are like, there's many, many different replies. This one is one of them, but another person was like, this is 3 minutes before the tweet, before the shooting, if this is in fact the guy. And I believe it is, In fact, the name of the Twitter handle is Eric Hartley, FRND. And in this last tweet, he says Judge Moylan, FRND. I don't know if that was the judge in his appeal or what. Eric Hartley is one of the 2 persons named in the suit for the defamation lawsuit over here. Jarrod W. Ramos versus Eric Thomas Hartley and Thomas Lee Marquardt. And I actually know Marquardt. That's not a very common name. I don't know a Thomas Lee Marquardt, but I know a Marquardt. I know some Marquardts. Anyways, and the Capital Gazette, and they said in this heavy.com piece that he didn't necessarily target anybody, that he just seemed to be going after the news organization in general. I don't know about that, though. I have no idea. I mean, but that's what it says, but it'd be tragic if it's tragic that 5 people were killed. But I don't know. Were these 2 people among the 5? I have no idea. No idea. I just don't know, and they haven't released those names yet of the people that were killed. So there's various posts in his Twitter feed, and a lot of it has to do with his defamation lawsuit. I mean, his Twitter description: "Dear reader, I created this page to defend myself. Now I'm suing the blank out of half of AA County and making corpses of corrupt careers and corporate entities." There's all sorts of stuff on here. It's all about that, journalism and that defamation lawsuit. He says he set it up for that, and he named it after one of the 2 persons named in the suit from the Gazette. So Eric Hartley, the Twitter handle, expose unethical conduct in journalism including within their organizations, abide by the same high standards they expect of others. I mean, it's one after another. So there's also, but one thing that people were jumping on, and this person actually put it in that first tweet here, was this post, and I'll go down to it, about Donald Trump. He mentions Donald Trump in a tweet here, and then this person's like, oh yeah, it's a Trump supporter. And honest to goodness, when I heard about this, I'm like, I hope this isn't a Trump supporter. I really do, particularly because they targeted the press. But his lawsuit goes back to 2012 and 2015. 2012, that's way before, anything Trump. And in fact, in that tweet right there, okay, and believe me, I wanted this guy to have nothing to do with Trump. I was really hopeful that he wasn't. And to me, it looks like he wasn't. He's just some, even if he's just a nut no matter what, no matter who he supports. If you're going to kill 5 people, obviously. So, but that tweet is from a long time ago. It's from September of 2015. That's before, that's like even before 2016 of the election. That's in the primary, in the very early stages of, whatever. But he actually is mentioning the Gazette because somebody wrote an opinion piece on, actually they were just talking about Trump and Bernie were tapping into the frustration of the American voter, something like that. I just barely glanced at it. Now that I think about it, I can't, who knows? Perry L. Weed, this person's the one who wrote that column. We have no idea who was killed today. It's really pretty remarkable. We're going to be talking about this quite a bit for a while. So over at, I'll go through the Post article. They have the 38-year-old man was identified as the suspect who opened fire at the Capital Gazette office in Maryland, killing at least 5 people in a targeted attack on the news organization. Police said he had previously filed a defamation lawsuit against the Capital newspaper, which was dismissed in 2013. I think it was dismissed in 2012. The dismissal was upheld in 2015 by a Maryland appellate court. The suspect, identified by NBC News, is in police custody. There's various reports that he intentionally damaged his own fingers so that you couldn't identify him by fingerprints. That hasn't been confirmed. I saw another report that the way they did identify him is with face recognition, but the sheriff, who, and everything's so fluid and moving so quickly, he hadn't heard that before, so he couldn't confirm that. The sheriff who gave the most recent update in the press conference did say that he brought in smoke grenades with him as well as the shotgun. And, I don't know if he actually used the smoke grenades or not, but they were left there and they were thought to be explosives devices initially. So he was prepared to shoot people. His intent was to cause harm, acting Anne Arundel County Police Chief William Cramp said at a press conference. That's who I think I'm talking about there. So, and then it goes on to talk about the incident. He shot through the glass, and the details are not real clear whether he's just continued to shoot in through the glass and lean in through the glass windows and shoot at people. But whoever he shot at, he killed. That's what makes me think he targeted individuals. That's just my own personal belief because, there aren't any other injuries other than some very minor, superficial things where glass, cut somebody because of the exploding windows from the gunshots. But whoever he shot were fatal. It's the way I understand it. That almost leads me to believe that he specifically chose people. And then he supposedly just stopped shooting. And that's when the police were able to, I guess wrestle him to the ground, or did he just lay down? We don't know that exactly. But the police were there so quickly, so, there's the eyewitness account that's in my previous video. But the police were there within 60 seconds. So authorities have identified, I want to go to the lawsuit a little bit, but there's not a lot of detail. Authorities have identified the gunman behind the deadly shooting at the Capital Gazette. A law enforcement official told CNBC it's Jarrod Ramos, 38, was the person who walked in the Gazette newsroom and opened fire, killing 5 and injuring others. Okay, so officials told NBC News Ramos once filed a defamation lawsuit. I already told you about that. A lawyer would almost certainly have told him not to proceed with the case. The court wrote in the opinion. So basically, they're saying in the 2015 appeal, he did not have, he represented himself. And the judge basically said if you had gotten a lawyer, he would have told you never even to file this appeal. You know, it reveals a fundamental failure to understand what defamation law is, and more particularly what defamation law is not. And the claim, according to the judge, everything that was in the original article about him taking a guilty plea for harassment. Again, we don't know what the harassment charge is and who else it involved. You know, the journalist took everything from the public record to write the report. I don't know why. I guess, you know, they report on everything. You know, every little criminal thing gets a report. You know, gets reported on. But they used everything from the public record, and they didn't deviate from that. So it was, you know, in the judge's eyes, it was all accurate. So it's not defamation. I'm learning more now, and I'm starting to understand a little bit better. This picture here is one of the two journalists that was named in his defamation lawsuit. I assume it's one of the journalists that wrote the original article about him. About his guilty plea for harassment that was in 2011. Eric Hartley, that's Eric Hartley right there. I don't know who these other people pictured in the banner of his Twitter page are. It's very possible they're the judge, possibly, but I have no idea, or county officials. I just don't know. But the judge is named and is mentioned a couple times, I think. Well, this says, F you, leave me alone at Judge Moylan, FRND, and that's this last post or tweet before the shooting, 7 hours ago. And it said, I'd say Moylan should kill himself, etc. There's various, tweets. And they're all negative, hateful stuff, and they all involve journalism in this lawsuit. So, and there's another one here referencing Eric Hartley. There's many, but here's one here that says, Eric Thomas Hartley knows from experience but doesn't appreciate how bad it can get. Journalist hell awaits. Journalist hell awaits. But Eric Hartley had moved on from the Gazette. I don't know exactly when, but he was no longer there, and he had moved to California at some point. So, and he works for the OC something, or the OC Journal or something like that, So, and there's a bunch of stuff that it's hard to follow unless you've followed his case and you know specifically about it and stuff. So. But it says that when Hartley moved to California to take a job with the OC Weekly, Ramos tweeted, yes, Eric Thomas Hartley, you moved to, just go ahead and kill yourself already before I do, legally in court, in parentheses. One Ramos's first tweet referencing Hartley goes back to October 2012 when he wrote, Eric Hartley admitted he is not a good reporter. He is bad. Sometimes the best defense is to send an opposing offense to a journalist. Hell. Don't know what that means. So, that's just a little bit more background on what's going on. And, he wasn't even there, Eric Thomas Hartley. Was Thomas Lee Marquardt? I don't know. Okay, let me just wrap this up one more time. There he is, pictured Ramos. And I don't know if they're identifying him over in, I know NBC had, but it's really not out there in a big way yet. I mean, it's kind of Twitterized where I had to find it. But, and quickly, I just wanted to retouch on this. I didn't really read what he said in his Twitter post to about Donald Trump. It's an article in the Gazette that the journalist wasn't even really that critical of Trump. In fact, he was just speaking to the Trump phenomena and Bernie too, and that they had captured the frustration of voters. I mean, that's pretty much. But in his tweet, Jarrod Ramos, he says, referring to real Donald Trump as unqualified, quote, Cap Gaz news could end badly, and then in parentheses again. And then he links to the article. Like so, Donald Trump files, I get it, again. Donald Trump files $500 million lawsuit against Univision. That's what he was referring to. Okay, I got it now after about 3 times. So, but like I said, the article really wasn't even that critical of him, and the guy kind of seems to be like, talking about his phenomenon, guest column. Okay, so he maybe doesn't even write there permanently. He might not have been there today, Trump taps into dissatisfaction. And he says, that only Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side has also tapped into the same dissatisfaction with business as usual in Washington about Trump. He says, since his entry into the Republican primary in June, Donald Trump has dominated American politics. He has flummoxed pundits and dominated the airwaves. Anyway, so, but that's from September of 2015. His lawsuit's from 2012. Yeah. Fortunately, this has nothing to do with Trump. Notice right now, as I was uploading, I stopped my upload to, they've identified the 5 victims in today's shooting at the Capital Gazette. And they are all 5 members of the organization. I think 4 of them are journalists, and the last is a sales associate or sales assistant, and she's a recent hire. They're right here. Rob Hyson, Gerald Fishman, John McNamara, Wendy Winters, and Rebecca Smith. Pretty horrible. So, just wanted to add that in there and let you know. Right? They just I think just published this not long ago. And that's at the Capital Gazette. So, all right. Well, that's the story there, man. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.